Hey there, just wanted to show you a potential pitfall when using the MySQL client. Okay, so we've fired up our turnkey Linux virtual machine and we've logged into it and we've got MySQL running. So let's use a database. Let's use the employees database, since that's one that is the source of all the examples in the SQL tutorials. And there we are, the database has changed. And let's go ahead and type something very, very common like select all from employee. And let's say we forgot to terminate with a semicolon. We just get this slightly different second prompt. We had, we're used to the MySQL caret or greater than prompt. Now we have a dash greater than to symbolize an arrow. And you might say, well, what the heck? Or let's try that again. Select all from employee semicolon. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Is this going to be good news or bad? Well, let's find out. Oh, it's bad news. It says there's a syntax error. So you go back and look at line 2 here and you say select all from employee. That's perfect. That should work. And you might get really frustrated. So let's talk about what's going on here. First, let's take a step back and talk about what the semicolon does. Because we are dealing with the MySQL server interactively, we type some stuff and then it evaluates that stuff and gives us a return. Because that's the nature of our arrangement, we have got to let the server know when we are done typing what we want evaluated. So it will keep listening until it hears our semicolon. Okay? When it gets to semicolon, it knows, okay, this is everything the user was intending to send me, and I should evaluate it and give a result. All right, so what has happened here is it thinks that everything that we've typed, select all from employee, semicolon, is what it's trying to evaluate. And that is not valid. So quick departure from the main topic to talk about the up and down arrow keys. I am going to call into existence the last bit of commands or instructions that the server has received from me by pressing the up arrow key on my keyboard, which you cannot see in the video. And it gives me the last statement. And the news is not good. The last statement it evaluated was select all from employee, semicolon, which is just going to give you an error. So the thing to take away here is if you forget something in your first line of your SQL typing, you're presented with this different prompt to say, okay, this is a multi-line statement, and so I continue to wait for instructions from you, and that's fine. That can be very useful to spread a statement across multiple lines in terms of readability and whatnot. And all you need to do is then terminate with a semicolon, and you will get your result. So there's one other circumstance where this can be difficult. So let's say select all from employee, and we'll break into the second line where employee number is equal to, and this is kind of an artificial way of breaking things up, but oftentimes when you have realistic, long SQL statements, you break across multiple lines. Let's say the first employee in the database is 10,001, and we terminate that, and we enter our good old semicolon to say we're done, and oh my goodness, nothing happens. It's very common to have something like this come up. And if you're detail-oriented, you may have noticed that there's a problem right here, right? We're specifying select all from employee where employee number equals 10,001. We've put, because the employee number is in fact string data, we've put quotation marks around 10,001, which is exactly what we should have done. But we, or rather me, since I'll own up to having done this, put a single quote here and a double quote here. And what that's done is confused the MySQL server. Why? Because as soon as it sees this single quote, it just assumes that everything that comes after it until it receives a terminating single quote is just part of some string of text. So it just thinks that semicolon is something that we are looking for in employee number as opposed to a terminator. And that is why the prompt has changed to a single quote instead of the minus sign and the greater than. So where we look here, we can figure out what's missing and say, oh, okay, it's waiting for a single quote. If we give it that single quote, then you see that the prompt switches back. Then we can terminate our statement. And it may not evaluate successfully, but we can terminate it. Oh, and lo and behold, in this case, it does evaluate successfully. It evaluates to this. But the important thing to realize is when that happens, that you can back away from it and just start over, which is much easier than having to log all the way out of the client, fire up PuTTY or whatever you're using again, and log all the way back in. That is not necessary. You don't need to do that. When you see something like this, you can do it the other way around. I'll do the exact same thing on purpose, only with the different sort of mismatch. You see now it's giving me this weird double quote prompt, and that's when I say, oh, it's waiting for a double quote. I will give it a double quote, then I will give it a semicolon, and then it will at least go back to square one and I can start over. That's it for this. Pretty straightforward, but maybe it'll save you some time and frustration. I hope it's useful. Study hard, and I will see you online.